It was like my autonomic nervous system stopped working. I couldn't, like, the normal swallowing function that you just do without thinking, I couldn't do it. And it was not only that, but my throat felt swollen, like stuff wouldn't pass through, but also the function of swallowing stopped working. And there are so many other stories about the extent of my illness. Like, truly, around this time, I was almost completely bedbound. But I never gave up because I didn't want that to become my life. And it felt like, after 4 or 5 years of it, it really felt like everything I'm doing, it doesn't seem to be working. And I tried so many things. And so I did start to see some progress when I worked with his team. It was difficult. There was a lot of herxing. There was a lot of, we had to buy a wooden infrared sauna. It was like $3,000. Coffee enemas, castor oil packs, just all of these additional detox tools, along with we did drainage, we did parasite cleansing, we did heavy metals. I actually did DMSA, which is like a pretty intense chelator, and I had to wake up every 4 hours and take this DMSA, and it just like wiped me. And then we got to the pathogens. By the time we got to sort of treating the Lyme and co-infections, I had felt a great deal better. I still definitely had symptoms and needed to work through them, but at least I was a bit more functional, where there was a point where I was able to drive down to Monterey and like go for a walk on the ocean by myself, on like a flat path, because I was still having POTS symptoms. So, still was working for Dr. J, and then he ended up, maybe 2 years into working for him, they created CellCore, Biosciences, the supplement company, and Microbe formulas. And they brought me over first as a brand manager. So I was managing Dr. J's brand as we were integrating it into the supplement companies. So I was doing all of his high ticket sales, customer service, selling his packaging and programs. I was doing all of his blogs, all of his emails. I was managing his summits. I think we did 6 summits together. We did retroviruses, we did a mitochondria summit, we did another parasite summit, another Lyme summit. So I was managing all of that. So I came in originally to kind of manage his brand, and then they created me a director of content position. And I was able to hire an editor-in-chief, some copywriters, and was on leadership there, which was amazing because I got to really work on the kits, the protocols, Eco, which is their big event that they do. I was helping with the first couple Ecos they ever did, and developing the consumer site, which is Microbe formulas. So product page copy, one pagers, all of the writing across the board. So I did that for quite a few years. Somehow still managed to travel, and the 10 years of being sick, like I said, it was very up and down. So, I would fly out there for conferences, and really, like, it really would wipe me out, but I wanted so badly. Like, I remember the first time I took a tour of the new facility, there was an upstairs, and I was so worried about how am I going to pretend like I'm healthy enough to walk up like a half a flight of stairs, because when I did, my heart just would like sometimes get so high and like, you know, um, get off beat and start palpitating and everything. And so I did that for quite a few years and helped launch those 2 supplement companies. And then I ended up leaving and creating my own business. I think it was in 2019, created my own business, and all of these doctors reached out to me after they found out I was no longer at CellCore, and they were like, "Are you doing your own thing? Like, I would hire you to do my marketing," because I had met them, of course, at all the conferences and things. And So it wasn't even really a plan to do my own business, but it just sort of created itself in 2019. So I started working with Dr. Jabin Moore and Sinclair Keneally and Siobhan Sarna, um, and then started growing clients from there. And so I did that. And then one of my clients was Microbe Labs. I was doing event copy for them. Maybe a month into it, the head of events went to Karan Krishnan and was like, we need to give this girl a department. Like, we need to hire her. So they created me a director of content position there. Did the same thing, got to hire copywriters, run the strategy, a lot of the marketing pieces. And then about a year into it, I was promoted to VP or head of marketing and events, and then sort of like a VP position. After that, I moved over to B2B and private label. So I helped on the ingredients side of the business and also helped all of our like white label, private label clients, pitching, supplements to them. They worked a lot with K2, Menaquin Gold, and the spores, all the bacillus spores. And for a while after that, I moved over to trade and pharmacy and D2C. So head of consumer and trade. So I was the person that helped get us on Cencora and MWI Health for phytospore, which is the animal side of Cencora. It used to be called AmerisourceBergen, Cencora. And I helped us launch a D2C strategy, including getting helping produce a docu-series, Viewpoint with Dennis Quaid. I flew down to West Palm Beach and Boca for their studio and was the one in the room that got to like look at the scripts, tell people, cue them, do retakes, kind of prep everyone with what we were going to say on this docu-series. And yeah, just a lot of really cool initiatives. So I have done HCP side of marketing from supplement companies. I've done D2C, I've done pharmacy, I've done trade. I was also the sole person in charge of Amazon and was able to grow and scale that within a year to 1.3 million a month from nothing. We weren't even on there. Did a lot with resellers, the lawyers, kind of getting them kicked off, map pricing, all of that. So after that, there were a couple mergers and acquisitions, and then I went back to doing my own business in 2024, I think it was. And so that's how we got here. And I would say like 95% better. There's a whole part of the story I left out, which toward the end of my marriage, we were together for 8 years, and we ended up moving from Clovis because he had gotten a job there and we just didn't like it. So we moved back to Monterey, moved into an apartment later we ended up finding out was full of black mold. We had someone come in and test the air, and the air had so much Stachybotrys, and they were like, typically it's in the walls. So the fact that it's this high in the air is pretty bad. So still working at the time when this was all happening, and was still at CellCore at this time, but was hospitalized so many times. I would go into anaphylaxis, have to be put in the hospital on like IV steroids, Benadryl, Pepsid. They had this whole routine that they did. I would use my EpiPen and started choking on food. It was like my autonomic nervous system stopped working. I couldn't, like the normal swallowing function that you just do without thinking, I couldn't do it. And it was not only that, but my throat felt swollen, like stuff wouldn't pass through, but also the function of swallowing stopped working. And so did a whole bunch of tests there, got diagnosed with eosinophilic esophagitis because I had so many eosinophils in my throat, which obviously could be from the mold or parasites or whatever, and had to get multiple surgeries on my esophagus, get it dilated, did like barium swallows, did a whole bunch of imaging of me swallowing, and that whole ordeal, our marriage just couldn't handle it. I was again crashed. Like our whole marriage, I was up and down and up and down. The mold really, it was probably the most severe crash that I had. And so we ended up getting divorced. I moved back to Michigan, and that's when I started my business in Michigan and worked with Microbe Labs while I was in Michigan. So, yeah, so it's kind of been like a little bit of a journey.